Today is Tuesday, August 11th, trash day. And you're tuned into the Tip-Off, where we tip you off on today's NBA matchups, how to gamble, how to bet. What's the trouble in the bubble today, Gabe?
7 matchups today. First up, we've got Brooklyn and Orlando.
Oh, Gabe was 5 for 5 yesterday. He called 5 for 5 correct. Listen to this guy.
Today's your turn. So first up, we've got Brooklyn and Orlando. Orlando's favored by 4.5 points. I'm taking Orlando. The Nets got a whole bunch of injuries, a whole bunch of players that are not going to play today. Joe Harris, Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, Jamal Crawford, among the few. And then for the Magic, Evan Fournier, Aaron Gordon, Terrence Ross, all out. This game is inconsequential for both teams. I'll take Orlando since it seems like at least Nick Vucevic is going to be suiting up for them. Orlando.
No, my brothers in Brooklyn are going to carry the day.
All right, next we've got Houston and San Antonio. San Antonio is favored by 4.5 points. Again, going with the favorites in San Antonio. Derek White, questionable for the Spurs. That could be big. But for the Rockets, James Harden is sitting out today. It's a must-win game for the Spurs. Technically, I suppose I could bet on the Rockets since the Beard is not playing, but I'll stick with San Antonio.
Well, the Beard will be on the bench, so never bet against the Beard, wherever the Beard may be.
All right. Next, you've got Phoenix and Philadelphia. Phoenix is favored by 9.5 points. I'm taking Phoenix. Sixers going to be without a whole bunch of players, potentially even their whole starting 5. Joel Embiid out, Ben Simmons, as we know. Josh Richardson also getting the day off for rest, and then Tobias Harris and Al Horford are both questionable as well. It's a must-win game for the Suns, and if Al Horford doesn't play, I think DeAndre Ayton is going to deliver another dominant performance for the Suns inside. I like Phoenix for a blowout here.
I think Philadelphia is going to surprise everybody. Deep bench.
All right, next we've got Portland and Dallas. Portland is favored by 4.5 points. I'm taking Portland. Technically, the Mavericks can still move up one spot in the standings, and they like to do that, avoid a first-round matchup with the Clippers. But in all likelihood, they are locked into that 7th spot. While this is another must-win game for the Trailblazers, I'm picking Damian Lillard, possibly another 50-point game. Portland here.
Put your dollars on Dallas.
All right, next we've got Boston and Memphis. Boston is favored by 3.5 points. I'm taking Memphis. The Celtics are locked into the 3rd seed in the East, while the Grizzlies are fighting for their playoff lives. I'm going to go with Memphis here since Boston doesn't have a lot to play for.
Boston has plenty to play for. A lot of heart and soul coming up out of Boston. They're going to win.
Or next we've got
and pride. They got their pride to play for.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
All right, next we've got New Orleans and Sacramento. Sacramento favored by 2.5 points. I'll take Sacramento. Zion Williamson, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, all out for the Pelicans. For the Kings, De'Aaron Fox and Rashawn Holmes are both out. Again, this game is completely meaningless for both teams since they've both been eliminated from playoff contention. I'm going to roll with Sacramento. They just beat up on the Pelicans last Thursday by about 20 points or so. I'm going to go with the Kings again here.
Pelicans.
All right, the finale. We've got Milwaukee and Washington. Milwaukee's favored by 7.5 points. I'm taking Milwaukee. Another totally meaningless game for both teams. I'm going to go with the Bucks. They might choose to rest a bunch of their starters. They did play yesterday against Toronto. Maybe Giannis returns, having missed yesterday's game. We'll see. I'm going to go with Milwaukee, the deeper team.
I'll stay with our nation's capital. I'll stand with our nation's capital. Thank you.
All right. Well, that does it for today's episode of The Tip-Off, where one of us is always right. Thanks for tuning in.